Hello, hello, and good morning. Happy Friday. Welcome to Hobby Evolution, episode 265. I had my second COVID shot last night, and I'm feeling a little groggy this morning. But other than that, my arm's not as sore as the last time. And the reason why I think that is, I did forget to take I was going to take some ibuprofen before bed last night. What's up? Good morning, Herman. Because after my first shot, my arm was so sore. I was waking up like every hour. Every time I would turn, my arm would the pain would flare up, and it woke me up, kept me up all night. Probably part of the reason why I felt like garbage the next day after my first shot. So I did make a little change to my COVID shot routine last night. By the way, I hate doctors' offices. I hate dentist offices. I just, even if it's a routine cleaning, like I have anxiety over doctors' offices and dental offices and shots. Like I get myself worked up, even though I know it's a quick thing. And I mean, it was like they have things down to the T. Unfortunately, I have to drive like an hour to where where my assigned COVID shot was, like an hour away in Janesville, Wisconsin. But I walked in the door at 5. My appointment was 6 o'clock. I walked in the door at 5:45. I was out the door after the 15-minute period at 6:05. So it took from the moment I stepped in the door, and they have those like scanner thermometers. Those are pretty cool. From the moment I stepped in, took my temperature at the front door, to the time I sat down after my shot, 5 minutes. And you go in, you get your scan, you go into the initial check-in. They give you some paperwork to fill out. It takes like 30 seconds because it's basically name and address. You take that to a person, and she directs you to another registration table, and they like take some paperwork, give you other paperwork. You go right to a nurse. Nurse takes you like a minute, just standard procedure. Boom, you get the shot. Go wait for 15 minutes. So awesome. So what's up? TGIF is right, Zach. Zach, by the way, Zach, are you getting a shot or buying cards at Target? Both, and I'll explain here in a moment. But by the way, I have your package should be going out tomorrow. I added some late additions to your package, so I'll be getting that out tomorrow. So yeah. So as Zach says, are you getting a shot or buying cards at Target? So last time, again, remember, I'm driving like an hour to get my shot. So after the shot, last time, I drove back home an hour, and I'm sitting in the car. So this is my right hand. My right hand is like my dominant hand. It's my driving hand. I'm a one hand driver. The left hand arm is just resting. Okay. The left hand, since it's not my dominant, is where I get my shot, and it's sore. And so when you're just resting the left, driving with the right, I didn't get enough movement. So that's why I think my arm was so sore after the first shot. So I changed up that routine. Janesville has a Target and a Walmart. So I thought, instead of just driving straight home, resting this left arm, I'm going to go shopping and get a little power walk in. Move those arms, okay? So, and the Target, the cards are way in the back. So this particular Target, it's like a small Target. It's kind of weird. I think the Target's actually a standalone, but it looks like it's part of a mini mall, because there's like a pet store next door. There's a thrift store. It's kind of a weird layout. So the cards are all the way on the back wall, like near the electronics. So I walked back there. They had a ton of baseball cards. They had fat packs. They had a ton of fat packs of Heritage. They had a ton of retail packs of Topps opening day. They had a bunch of 9-slot pages. They had binders, but they didn't have what I was looking for. Not cards, penny sleeves. Even though I bought 30,000, you could never have enough, right? So they didn't have anything that I was looking for. I thought, well, maybe I can, since I'm here, I buy a pack of Heritage, but I didn't. So there's also a Walmart. So I went to the Walmart. The Walmart was like completely like there's like all of the as seen on TV section, and then there's like Magic and Pokemon, and then so it's like divided in thirds, and then the third where the sports cards are supposed to be just completely bare, because they just sell out. They still stock cards, but they're just sold out. So that was a quick in and out, and then I was driving home. So my arm's a little sore, but it wasn't like I didn't wake up. I slept through the night. The only like ill feeling I have right now is I'm a little groggy. Kind of like after you take like, so I have like, I get seasonal allergies. So sometimes I'll take like, what is it? Benadryl that knocks you out. That's kind of how I feel. It's kind of like when I have allergies and I take Benadryl or Sudafed, maybe it's Sudafed. Whatever just knocks you out. That's kind of how I feel this morning. But I also stayed up a little later than usual. My wife and I started a new show called Cruel Summer. And it's kind of one of those like teen murder mystery type shows. It's on Freeform. I think it's both on Amazon Prime and Hulu. So the first 2 episodes are out. So we watched the first episode, and I'm like, very few shows capture my attention. And usually I'm like listing cards on eBay and just scrolling Twitter and doing other stuff. But it captured my attention, and I really liked it. And my wife is like, it's okay. So her and I have like, we are the extreme opposites on like, so she doesn't come down here because of like this. She's like Marie Kondo, and I'm like American Pickers. So we have different tastes in television as well. So I stayed up and watched the next episode, and usually like at 9:30, 9:45, I'm like, okay, time to take the dog out, get a glass of water, time to go to bed. We started the second episode at like 10 or like 9:50, and I never start a show that late. But I'm like, why not? I wasn't falling asleep. It had my attention. So I stayed up. My wife went up to bed before me, which hardly ever happens. She's a night owl. I'm typically a morning person. So what's up, George? Late to the show, getting in from a touch of exercise. So I stayed up a little late, and it was probably 11 by the time I fell asleep. So that could be why I'm a little groggy. But enough about my COVID shot. Let's talk Cubs. Let's talk mail days. So I showed off yesterday. My Wednesday mail day was this 91 Fleer team set that I bought yesterday, and this was stuck in Chicago for a week. 93 Topps Cubs team set, sealed. It's pretty cool. Like if you bought 5 of these, you could send them in for 5 Babe Ruth cards. And I've never seen those cards because it shows what they look like on the back, and I don't think I've ever seen those cards because it's not. Well, there's one of Babe Ruth playing, one he's fishing, one he's just smoking a cigar in a suit, driving a car, and just kind of working on a farm, I guess. So I did buy another one of those sealed sets the other day, so I'll probably have those next week. Herman got his first consignment package on the way. Very cool. I like it. So I also had a mail day. that I forgot I purchased. So I bought these from a Facebook group, and I need to like write down. I need to use my whiteboard for like stuff I buy on Twitter and Facebook, because I usually buy this stuff and then forget about it. So somebody in one of the autograph Facebook groups I'm in had a whole bunch of vintage autographed index cards, which is something that I was into Cubs autographs big time in like 2007, 2008, somewhere around there. That was kind of my autographs was my collection. And it was mostly on cards, but I also did some index cards. And I was sending to like retired players and even minor league guys and current players. But a couple years ago, maybe 2 years ago, I started getting back into, what's up, Brad? Vintage signed index cards. And there's a big time collector down in, I think, Alabama, and he's selling like a lot of his collection. He was 2 years ago. And so I was buying a ton from him. So I have kind of a pretty extensive index card Cubs autograph collection. So this guy on Facebook the other day or last week was had a whole bunch of them, and he only had like the debut year and team. So I had to do a little research. Most of the guys I knew, okay, he was a Cub, but there were a couple that sounded familiar, so I did the baseball reference. But I'm pretty up on like the all-time Cubs roster. So the first was, let's see, I think there was like 10 of them. Toby Atwell, and he played for the Cubs in the early 50s. And what's cool, I didn't recognize this until about a year ago. His name is Maurice. I have an uncle named Maurice Atwell. Well, he passed away about 10 years ago, but and I actually did a blog post about him a year or so ago. Nobody knew him as Maurice. He was Doozy, Uncle Doozy. So Toby Atwell, who shares my uncle's name, Maurice Atwell, played for the Cubs in the early 50s. Al Epperly, he was on the Cubs in 1938. And he played, and fortunately it's got like the notations on the back. So 1938, Al Epperly. A member of the 1952 Cubs, Cal Howe. Good luck, Cal Howe, 1952 Cubs. This one is personalized to Jason. Bob Kennedy was a Cubs manager, and I think he was the Cubs manager for a couple years in the early 60s, maybe. So Bob Kennedy. Here we've got, and I like this. You can tell it's vintage, and this is, I have to look on the back. Clarence Maddern, and I think he played in the 30s. Look at the top. I love that, and you can tell this is probably an index card from the 70s or 80s, and it's a personalized, or not personalized, but I guess personalized, for the autograph collection of Dr. John Davis Jr. That's pretty cool. Clarence Maddern. Here we've got Ken Raffensberger. He played for the Cubs for a couple of years in the 50s. And it looks like his career spanned from 1939 to 1954. And I think the last couple of years he was in Chicago. And then we've got Walter Rebel Stevenson. He played for the Cubs in the 30s, 1935 and 36, according to the back of this note card. And then the final one, it's the big one, Riggs Stevenson. He's one of the all-time Cubs. He played from 1926 to 1934 for the Chicago Cubs. So Riggs Stevenson, that was the one I was going for. So those are added to my Cubs index card autograph collection. Gonna load the bike up tomorrow, going for about 30 miles from where I live for a ride tomorrow. Very cool. Only buy Maury's wig, stand up to hurricane type winds. So yeah, George, I planned, speaking of bikes, I downloaded a couple bike trail apps. So there's a couple trails. There's still the one trail, which is kind of close to me. I can actually ride to it and then do the trail to a city down the road. That's like next on my agenda once it warms up, which it's supposed to. And we'll see what the weather's like tomorrow. I think it was supposed to rain. I'm going to check right now. But if it's nice out, I may make that that bike trip tomorrow. We'll see. It's going to be 61 and cloudy tomorrow. That's not bad. But in the 70s Monday, Tuesday. And then so I downloaded this bike trail app, and it shows like different bike trails across the nation. So there's a couple that I wanna check out. That I would actually load the bike up and drive because one of the trails is actually New Glarus, home of Spotted Cow, and that's eventually that's kind of my goal. Maybe later this summer is to actually ride my bike to New Glarus, but it's like a 20-mile one way. So, and I'm pretty sure I have enough. There's a lot of hills, so I definitely need to utilize the throttle and the motor because I don't know if my legs will be strong enough by then to make some of those hills. So that's kind of my goal by the end of the summer is to bike to New Glarus and back. But I got to do some of these trails and just get more miles under my legs to make it happen. There's a bike road that starts in the next town over, goes all the way to Seoul, which is about 70 miles. Wow. So I only plan to go 20 or so tomorrow. Very cool. My longest trip so far, I've only been on my bike for 3 times because it's been freaking colder than crap lately. So I've only been out 3 times. The first day I just rode through like the neighborhoods, but I did like 12 miles. I think that was actually the most I did, 12 miles. And then the next day I did 10 miles, and I took it almost to that where the trail starts. So I did some country, and then Monday I wanted to use the rest of the battery up and burned my legs. Because I should have done those. That country ride was like, it's very hilly, like up here, and some of the hills are like steep inclines. And I waited until like the end of the battery to do that ride. So I had to consume some battery and do a lot of pedaling uphill, so I won't make that mistake again. Colder than a well digger's. Yeah. Yep. Colder than a well digger's behind. So that's what I had for today. A couple of Cubs mail days. And coming up today, I don't know what's on the agenda today. I think my sales have slowed down. So I'm thinking I'm gonna do some file exchange, but not upload just yet. I still have some eBay sales to get caught up. Once I'm caught up this weekend, I've got trade packages going out, and then maybe upload like Sunday if I'm completely caught up. Kind of depends on A, how I feel today after my COVID shot last night, and B, what the weather's going to be like this weekend, because if it's warm and sunny, I'm going to spend more time outside. If it's crappy and rainy, then I'll be able to get caught up. So it's kind of a wait and see. My former, missing the lead here. So I'll get to that in a second. My former LCS. So we used to have 2 local card shops, and I've talked about this ad nauseum. One flooded out. So he's having a garage sale this weekend. So I may hit that garage sale up tomorrow just to see what he has. Because it's been a while. I haven't been. I think I went last summer was the last time. Actually, no. Yeah, it was whenever Heritage Miners came out was the last time, because I bought a hobby box of Heritage Miners from his garage. So he still has. He actually gets more allocation, and he doesn't have a brick and mortar, but he had a brick and mortar for 30 years. He gets more allocation than the actual brick and mortar card shop here. Who basically now just sells retail. So he does get good allocation on hobby boxes. So are we going to have to get a bike to keep up with you and George? By the way, went to the card shop yesterday, showing off all the cards today. Awesome. We'll be tuning in. So Brad, how do I feel? I feel like a little groggy. I was explaining it earlier that how I feel right now is kind of like I get seasonal allergies. So if I take like Sudafed, which knocks you out, that's kind of how I feel. Like I'm just a little groggy this morning. My arm's not too sore. Like I can definitely feel it. But I don't feel like really crappy. But after my first shot, I kind of felt the same like when I went live. And then like an hour later, I started feeling like garbage. So hopefully it's just I had all my symptoms after the first shot and I'll be okay after the second shot. So one of the nurses did say yesterday when I was getting my shot, I said, I felt like crap after the first shot. And they said, some people that experience side effects after the first shot don't experience them after the second shot, vice versa. So hopefully that's the case. George bought a cheap action cam that should arrive next week. George, that's exactly what I was thinking about. So I've blinged out my bike with some accessories, and I've got like the phone holder on the handlebar, basically just like if I have a map up or listening to Pandora. But I thought about doing like a GoPro or something so I can take some footage of, because we have some like really cool scenery around me and where I ride, and it's pretty cool that I don't want to stop and take a picture or take video. It'd be cool to have like a camera mounted or on my helmet or whatever. What's up, Mark? Good morning. So I'm burying the lead here. Bowman checklist was out this week, and it was out on today, Wednesday, and I completely missed it yesterday. Or I didn't miss it, but I completely biffed on talking about it yesterday. So it's basically it was kind of a wah because it's basically first edition. So we saw the first edition checklist a month ago, or 6 weeks ago. So it's basically that. So no real surprises, although we did get the actual autograph checklist. So, and that's kind of, for most like Bowman heads, that's what they're looking for is those chrome autos, the first prospect autos. So that's what they're looking for. But I did, it's posted now, 1millioncubs.com. It's basically a guide to the first Bowman cards in this year's 2021 Bowman, much like I did with 2021 Topps in the rookie class. So this is the checklist of these guys have first Bowman cards. Here's where they rank in their respective organizations, prospect rankings, or in baseball, top 100. There's only one top 100 prospect on the getting a first Bowman card, and it's Austin Martin. Now that seems like a low number, but when you think about it, most of the first Bowman cards are really young guys, like 18, 19 years old, that really haven't played full season minor league baseball yet. Outside of usually they save like the second pick. Is it the second pick? Yeah, because Torkelson was in draft. So they saved the second overall pick for Bowman. First overall goes in Bowman draft. Spencer Torkelson, second overall goes in Bowman. Next hobby roundtable will happen on bikes. What's up, Matt? So most of the top 100 prospects are guys who have been in the minor leagues because there's actual scout, U.S. scouting reports on them. They've played here, whereas a lot of the first guys that have only played in like the Dominican Summer League or short season, so they really don't have a resume. So that's why there's only Austin Martin is the only top 100 prospect on the checklist. Yeah, Blaise Jordan is in it. He's I was surprised because Blaise Jordan is getting a lot of hype, but he's the 10th ranked prospect in the Red Sox organization. So I thought he would would have been higher up, but he's one of the top players that that people are looking for. Of course, Kevin Alcantara for the Yankees, he's pretty low in their system, but also it goes with it's a lot different. It's a lot different with the prospects because they don't get ranked until they have some like I mentioned, the reps and the resume. So it's a completely different game than what grading the rookie class. And okay, here's their history. Here's where they ranked on the prospect list the last couple of years. So completely different, but it does give you, the power that Blaise Jordan could exhibit is pretty big. So so that's kind of where it's at. So if you want to know who the first Bowman cards are, where they rank, scouting reports, check it out. 1millioncubs.com did that. So that's what I had for today. Cubs wise in Bowman, Christopher Morel gets a first Bowman card. Ishmael, I don't know how to pronounce his last name. Is it Mena or Mina? He came over in the Yu Darvish trade from the Padres. He's in a Padres uniform, but he's now in the Cubs organization. So it was neat to see Christopher Morel. I'm surprised he didn't get a card earlier because he's kind of been in the prospect talks in the Cubs organization for 2 years now. So kind of late in the game for Bowman to get him a card. Better late than never, though. So cool to see him get a Bowman card. So that's what I had for today. Thanks for tuning in. Brad, hopefully that internet is up and working for you, and he can go live over on the Texas Card Dude channel. Have a great Friday. And, David's with us. Good morning. Not to bring up retail again, but my Walmart switched cards from 1 pack a day at customer service back to the shelf, no limit. Oh, wow. I have not. Wow. That's a surprise that they would go back from the 1 pack. They must have had, I don't know if they have issues with low staffing at customer service or whatnot. It was just too much of a pain. That's interesting. Haven't seen any of that. It's been going the other way. So there's that's an extreme. And then yesterday we also saw an extreme on the other end. Somebody, and I retweeted it last night. Somebody posted a picture, and there's 4 Target notes on, okay, you can only buy cards at 8 a.m. this day. You can only buy X amount. We have the right to refuse service to anyone we feel is too young to buy car. I mean, it was 4 notes. And it was legit. It was not Photoshop. It was not handmade notes that somebody put up to be funny. It was a legit sign barrage, which is the exact opposite of David's Walmart, where it's screw it, just take what you want. That's funny. So that's what I had for today. Have a great Friday, and we'll talk tomorrow.